Hey all, Scott here, and it's finally time to put my logic to the test with my brand new advice column. Dear Scott, people constantly make fun of my eyebrows. What should I do? God, I hate facial hair. Get rid of them. Dear Scott, not advice, just a question. Have you ever killed somebody? No. Dear Scott, which is better, Super Mario Odyssey or The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild? Oh, thank God you asked that. I had no idea how I was gonna fill the next 20 minutes. Nintendo did the unthinkable and actually tried this year, and wouldn't you know, it's paid off for them. Two of the biggest releases not only of the year, but in the entirety of their respective franchises, Super Mario Odyssey and The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, both released to a standing ovation from everybody. While they're in two separate genres, they both do so many similar things. Both heavily encourage exploration, both do away with many conventions associated with their series, both have crazy amounts of replay value, both basically perfect their genres, and both thankfully use the standard Switch font on the spines of their boxes. Listen, we all have a Super Bomberman R in our lives. So with the end of the year terrifyingly banging on the door, why not look back at two of the best games released in 2017 and see which one I believe is the better game. And if you listen closely to that statement, you might have heard a little something that may be translated to, this is my opinion, I love both of these games, back off. The categories I'll be looking at these games with are visuals, sound, gameplay, replay value, and innovation. So let's get a pissin' and a whinin' about Scott's opinions. This is Super Mario Odyssey versus Breath of the Wild. Both Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild have some visuals that will make your nose piss itself. These are two games that just embrace the whole concept of vibrancy and color. Breath of the Wild has a very specific art style. It feels like it takes a little bit of every 3D Zelda title from Wind Waker onwards. And my god, this style is absolutely brilliant. When roaming the grassy fields on the cusp of sunset, this game's art style truly peaks and is in a class of its own. However, the game's art style doesn't look too hot in many cases, specifically when you enter shrines or the divine beasts. These areas are where many would spend a good chunk of the game in, and I gotta say, with every shrine looking the same and the divine beast just having a very unlikable color scheme and atmosphere in my opinion, the art style left a bit of a bad impression in my mind, as this is what I think of when I hear Breath of the Wild. However, replaying the game made me remember just how beautiful this game is. I don't like how the shrines and divine beasts look, but I love the rest of the game's style. Super Mario Odyssey is very much an HD 3D Mario game. It's exactly what you'd expect for a Mario game in this generation. It never straight up blew me away, but it always left me embarrassingly satisfied with how it looked. There's so many small little details they didn't have to add in there, but they did anyways, and I adore stuff like that. The fact that whatever costume you're wearing translates over to 2D sections, you get all icy and dirty from certain elements, the worlds feel alive like people actually live there, denim is everywhere. One of my biggest problems with Mario Odyssey's art style, though, is a lack of consistency. The Metro Kingdom and Luncheon Kingdoms both look and feel so different from the rest of the game's levels. Now, of course, you must be absolutely f***ing dumbfounded by me saying this, because that's kind of the point of Mario Odyssey. The consistency in Odyssey is a lack of consistency. Here's my issue with that. The rest of the kingdoms in Mario Odyssey feel like pretty standard Mario worlds graphically to me. The Cap Kingdom's in black and white, but it still feels incredibly Mario-like. The Cascade Kingdom's a rather realistic prehistoric playground, but it doesn't feel out of place in the Mario world. The Sand Kingdom is more Mario than any other sand-related kingdom can claim to be. The fact that basically the rest of the game's kingdoms feel pretty Mario-like feels off to me. I think maybe if 2 or 3 more kingdoms had very distinct styles, I'd be more okay with it, but it just feels like Odyssey didn't go all the way with its art style as a whole. Performance-wise, both games feature some frame rate dips here and there. Breath of the Wild has more frequent problems with it, however, it never made things unplayable or unenjoyable, just noticeable. Mario Odyssey is much more rock solid in the frame rate department, though it will slip every now and then. Again, these are far from major problems with the games, just know that both have times when the frame rate will dip just a bit, Breath of the Wild more so. Overall, I'd say both games are equal in terms of their positives and negatives relating to art style. Breath of the Wild style is gorgeous in many cases, but looks underwhelming in others. Mario Odyssey is everything you'd want out of an HD Mario game, but the art style feels a bit lopsided. Both have some frame rate dips, both have excellent animations, both have very clean and elegant user interfaces. It could truly go either way in my opinion, but I'm gonna have to give the edge to Breath of the Wild for having a very unique art style. Odyssey looks fantastic, but it's nothing we haven't seen before. The amount of detail in the game is amazing and shows the love and care the developers put into every polygon, but the same can be said about Breath of the Wild on top of having an art style to call its own. Dear Scott, how do I ensure my party won't get stopped by the cops? Invite them! Dear Scott, my favorite grocery store's been shut down. Where should I get my food now? Definitely not Big Lots, but hey, if you want me to never turn my back on you, then go for it. Dear Scott, what should my senior prank be this year? 40 turtles, Viagra, freshman hallway. My 2 favorite hearing organs. Ears. What would I ever do without them? Probably play Breath of the Wild because the sound is non-existent. No, you got all the time in the world to do some fish shake, and now's the time to hear me out. Breath of the Wild soundtrack, both in terms of its music and sound design, fit its world beautifully. It mainly uses ambient sound, the sounds of nature with soft piano melodies playing in the background every so often. It's simply beautiful and works incredibly well for what Breath of the Wild is, a game that surrounds you in the wilderness. That's not to say there isn't music in the game, it mainly plays during specific instances such as boss battles, minigames, stables, and shrines. And there are a good handful of tracks I totally shoulder bob to, such as Rivali's theme, the parasailing theme, Hyrule Castle's music. It's all real neat. The problem is, there just aren't enough tunes that I absolutely love to make me say I adore the soundtrack. It is perfect for what Breath of the Wild is, but doesn't really do much for me outside of the game. Mario Odyssey, on the other hand, now that is some music I can shower to. Odyssey follows some traits similar to Breath of the Wild. There's a few instances in the game where music simply doesn't play, and you really only hear the sounds of the world around you and the pitter-patter of Mario's feet. This generally doesn't last very long, and when you get to the meat of the level, the music goes from 0 to 100 in the span of one finger gun. This is an excellent soundtrack, with loads of tracks I can listen to on repeat. The title theme, Cap Kingdom, Cascade Kingdom, Metro Kingdom, Jump Up Superstar, the song played in the final sequence. It's all great. It doesn't have as many finger gunners of tracks as, say, the Mario Galaxy series or even Mario 3D World, but it's still a soundtrack with a nice initiative. Sound effect wise, both are great. I got nothing really to add there, but what I do have a few choice words about is the voice acting. Mario Odyssey, you old dog! Breath of the Wild is the first mainline Zelda game with extensive voice acting, and it's tolerable, but I definitely wouldn't give it a thumb of approval. The voices just don't sound as natural as they could be most of the time. I always felt like the actors just did one take on a lot of these scenes. Mario Odyssey has much more voice acting than standard Mario games. Mario and other characters say more in Odyssey than ever before. That's not saying much, but it's still more voice acting than most games, but it doesn't overdo it. Characters mainly speak in their own gibberish or small quick phrases. However, Mario Odyssey has songs with vocals crammed in it, and they work pretty well. Overall, Mario Odyssey has more voice acting than other Mario games, but it feels like the right amount of vocals for what it is. Breath of the Wild has voice acting for once in a Zelda game. However, I feel that everybody wanted voice acting in a Zelda game to avoid the trailer park's worth of paragraphs they had to read throughout the games. Voice acting only appears in the more important scenes in Breath of the Wild, which means there's extensive voice acting, but you're still gonna have to do a lot of reading. Mario Odyssey has a soundtrack that works well in and outside of the game, and some criminally solid voice acting for a Mario game. I read on WikiHow that talking about gameplay in a battle between Super Mario Odyssey and Breath of the Wild is a must, so begrudgingly, here we go. Breath of the Wild is an open-world adventure game. It takes the idea behind the original Legend of Zelda and executes it in a modern landscape. You play as Link, awoken from a deep slumber of 100 years. During a fight between Ganon, Link was defeated and then placed in a resurrection shrine. Princess Zelda has been locked in Hyrule Castle for the past 100 years, using every ounce of her power to contain Ganon from wreaking havoc over the entire world. Now that you're awake, it's time to regain your strength and defeat Ganon once and for all. Or not, it's up to you. Breath of the Wild holds your hand probably about 5% of the time, and that's only when it's absolutely necessary to. Overall, you have complete control over what you do and how you do it. The structure of the main game, if you want to do exactly what the game tells you to, is to go to the 4 Divine Beasts, which are fundamentally this game's puzzle dungeons. Defeat the form of Ganon boss at the end of them, and you meet up with the spirit of one of the champions, 4 heroes who were also defeated by Ganon. On the way, you're bound to meet up with some locals who will give you something to do, whether it be a side quest or stuff to buy, or you'll probably find a shrine. Shrines are basically mini puzzle dungeons, where completing one will get you a spirit orb, where you can exchange 4 of them for either an extra heart or more stamina. After going through the 4 Divine Beasts, I'd say that's the perfect time to encounter Ganon at Hyrule Castle. Traverse the castle and eventually you'll make it to Ganon, whose life bar is cracked in half if you beat all 4 Divine Beasts. Defeating this form of Ganon then brings you to the outside, where you must defeat Dark Beast Ganon, which is nothing more than a flashy cutscene disguised as a boss fight. And that's it, you save Zelda, but you don't really get all too much for beating the game. It's more so about the journey than the end with Breath of the Wild. I gotta say though, the main hook of the game is the exploration. The rest of the game is great, but the exploration, man. Just roaming the world and doing whatever you feel like. Kill that boar, or not, it's up to you. The game also encourages experimentation. Weapons are incredibly fragile in this game, meaning they break after a few hits, some more so than others. This encourages the player to use more unconventional ways to defeat enemies, such as using your runes, which are powers you have on you at all times that focus on physics and elemental related abilities, such as freezing water, freezing objects in place with its kinetic energy intact, and controlling metal objects. Link can also climb f***ing everything with a solid asterisk right there. Correction, most things. Walls and mountains are no longer barriers, rather ways of traversal. Breath of the Wild is truly an absolute masterpiece in terms of game design, but I'd consider it much more of a work of art. The feelings it can instill in the player are crazy, and everybody is bound to get lost in the world. However, I'd say for every 3 things that are fun in the game, there's one thing that's pretty frustrating. Whether it be the fragility of some weapons, fumbling through item management, or the difficulty, some things in Breath of the Wild, while well designed, can be a bit on the annoying side. Super Mario Odyssey similarly goes back to the franchise's earlier entries to push forward. The game harkens back to the 3D platforming style that Super Mario 64 and Sunshine were designed around. Larger worlds with multiple objectives in them. The game opens in the middle of a fight between Bowser and Mario, which quickly explains Bowser's plans to marry Peach. Mario is sent a-flying with his hat getting torn to shreds and is awoken by a citizen of the Cap Kingdom, Cappy. Cappy's sister Tiara is stolen by Bowser for use in the wedding, so both go on a trek to stop him. Cappy takes on the form of Mario's hat, and from then on you can throw him for a multitude of actions. You can hang in the air for a while, defeat enemies, interact with the environment, use it for an extra boost while jumping, and take over certain objects and characters with the capture mechanic. This brings a barn's worth of variety to the game and keeps it fresh and fun. Many sections are designed around capturing something and using its unique abilities to trudge forward. This is such a creative and fun mechanic. It takes throwing your hat, which is already great on its own, and adds that one extra thing that truly makes it special while keeping everything insanely simple. It's all on the Y button, or by flicking your controller, which is one of the only main problems with Mario's controls in the game. Motion controls are required for specific cap throwing actions. These actions are more so supplemental and are never necessary in the whole game, but come on, you couldn't have just mapped these to a button. Also, using the motion controls for these movements just never felt natural to me, and a lot of the time they just don't work well. Other than that, Mario controls perfectly. This is potentially the best he has ever felt. I truly don't know how they can make his movement feel any better in future games. It's just straight up fun to move around. Odyssey is every bit the definition for the term collectathon. Each level is filled to the brim with power moons, in which the more you get, the farther you can progress in the game. They're this game's reward for completing objectives, both big and small. Odyssey is home to some of the most varied missions to complete, and while many are repeated, for example, one sheep herding mission in one level and one in another, they never feel like filler, cheap, or lazy. The game is all about just exploring and having fun. I've never played a game like this where it's non-stop fun. No mission or objective ever felt annoying, even the incredibly challenging ones. The game's entire theme is traveling, with each location being more and more different from the last, truly capturing the feeling of going to different regions of the world. Levels are separated by kingdoms, which can range from being huge to rather medium-sized to pathetically small. The pathetically small kingdoms are normally only here to house special boss fights, and afterwards only have a few objectives to complete in them, and are sadly some of the most interesting ones aesthetically. But the medium and huge kingdoms are a hoot. They never feel like they overstay their welcome and ooze charm and details that you surely won't catch on your first time through. Lives have been completely done away with, and now your coin total is your life bar. Die, lose a couple coins. This is actually pretty effective because now coins are used as currency. You use them to buy costumes at the crazy cap shops, which are completely cosmetic but are just fun to wear and add visual flair and fan service to the game. Each kingdom has their own form of currency in the form of purple coins, where there's either 50 or 100 hidden in most levels. These coins are used for items relating to the kingdom itself, such as souvenirs or costumes only in that kingdom's shop. The boss fights in the game are pretty stellar, way better than most Mario boss fights. These can be incredibly inventive and fun. The final boss, however, is definitely meh-worthy. You make it to Bowser's wedding on the moon, and they're thrown into a boss fight that's a slightly harder version of one that you already experienced in the game. That was pretty disappointing to me, but the game decides to slap the opinion out of the way because it ends with the most pure joy I've ever experienced in a finale. Look at this. Now, beating a game like this doesn't take long at all. In fact, it surprised me how short the main campaign was. However, Odyssey is just ramping up at that point. Not only are you rewarded with the Mushroom Kingdom to explore with loads of Mario fan service, each and every kingdom is repopulated with more power moons to find. Listen, Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey are phenomenal in their own rights, but I gotta say, Breath of the Wild definitely has some annoying and frustrating parts. They were totally a part of the design, and I got that it made sense, but there were a few elements I wasn't super into. Mario Odyssey is all fun all the time. There was never a part that I hated, never a part I rolled my eyes to. It was literally made to be fun all the time. And that's what video games should be. Breath of the Wild takes more risks, but Odyssey makes less mistakes. I've had a load of fun with both games, but Mario Odyssey has some of the purest of joy tucked in it. Dear Scott, my cat's not doing too well. What should I do? Nothing, dude. Cats are like furry cockroaches. They can literally survive anything. Like, I could probably eat a cat and it would probably survive. Dear Scott, I really like this girl, but don't know how to tell her. What should I say? Here we have my 3 patented, guaranteed success rate, non-stick pickup lines. Favorite barnyard animal? I'll have sex with you if you have sex with me. Fuck, mommy. Dear Scott, can we hang out? Sure, I have unlimited time for the next 45 minutes. Replay value is key in this day and age. If you can only pick one game to buy, you really have to go with the game that offers the most content to keep you coming back to the game months after the purchase. Nintendo obviously was sitting down and immediately stood up shouting, "No this isn't right, and decided to cram way too much junk in both games. Normally, the amount of power stars in a 3D Mario game is locked at a quaint 120. Also, you'd get kicked out of a level in those games after getting a power star, so that obviously stretches the game's length out. Of course, Mario Odyssey has many more power moons to accommodate having more exploration-based objectives, and also not kicking you out of a level evens out to having 999 power moons, and that was when I truly discovered shit deserves holy in front of it. Don't let the number scare you off. It's completely obtainable and is a blast to go for 100%. There's a lot of filler moons, but they don't feel like that. They still feel very natural and never really felt like the game was overbloated with them, making it incredibly fun and satisfying from start to finish. Breath of the Wild is in a similar situation. However, I don't think the developers really ever intended on a good amount of people going for 100%. 900 Korok seeds are hidden throughout the world, and you literally have to piss around every nook and cranny to find them all. With Mario, everything is far more organized and easy to see exactly what you have to go for to obtain complete completion. With Zelda, I have no idea how you'd 100% this game without a guide, which oddly gives Breath of the Wild more replay value. There's a definitive end in sight for Mario Odyssey, which isn't a bad thing. In fact, Mario Odyssey is the type of game that is chemically engineered to be just straight up fun all the way through, so multiple playthroughs are not a possibility, but a probability. With Zelda, I think no matter when you go back to the game, you're bound to find a huge thing you've never seen before, never tried before, or never thought was possible in the game. Zelda is much more focused on having endless replayability with the vast open world, physics engine leading to new discoveries I don't even think the developers knew about, and with the game's open-ended nature, trying to complete objectives without doing certain things. In terms of the length of the games, it'd probably take the same time to 100% Mario Odyssey as it would to beat Breath of the Wild the first time around. Let me reiterate, that's not bad. Odyssey is still an incredibly meaty game in terms of replay value. However, I have to give this category to Zelda for simply feeling fresh and new every time you pop it back in, well after beating it or even 100%ing it. Dear Scott, I really want to get into more politics. Where do I start? The only thing I know about politics is the president of Russia's name is Vlad the Impaler. Dear Scott, my favorite restaurant is Waffle House. What's wrong with me? Not much. The only problem with that place is I know a fair amount of people that told me they've been murdered there, so watch your back. This one is easy peasy. Mario Odyssey takes smaller steps in the grand scheme of things in terms of innovation. By that I mean, it's not a revolution. It's still a 3D Mario game. I think it's such a smartly designed, well thought out, beautifully detailed 3D platformer with innovation within how much effort was put into it. Mario's controls, the level design, it feels so old yet so new at the same time, which I adore about it. Mario Odyssey also expertly used the Switch's unique features. The HD rumble in the game is some of the better use I've experienced. When you're on a scooter, you feel the motor purring. When you turn into a zipper, it feels like you're actually unzipping a zipper. I love video games. Mario's controls are amazing as well, just the versatility they gave you with Cappy and the capture mechanic, Mario's mobility, you truly feel like you can accomplish anything with this moveset without making the game feel too easy. Breath of the Wild blows it away. Mario Odyssey is a brand new 3D Mario game. Breath of the Wild is a new type of game in general. Nintendo took the open world concept and blew every past attempt at the genre out of the park with their first ROM. Being able to climb everything, no boundaries, no limits, just go and have your own adventure. And the use of realistic physics for puzzles such as freezing objects with the stasis power, hitting it a couple times and seeing it go flying, that's amazing! It truly encapsulates what the original Legend of Zelda for NES was designed to do, but now it can fully deliver on that concept. For this category, I ask, what game will everybody try to copy within the next 5 years? While I believe both set a new standard in their respective genres, Breath of the Wild always felt like more of a leap forward and a true revolution. Easily, either one of these games could have won out, but my choice between the two would have to be Breath of the Wild. I had nothing but fun with Mario Odyssey. It's a return to form while also being completely new. Hey, it won the gameplay category based on how much fun it is. You can take that as it won the battle because gameplay reigns supreme. But overall, I think Breath of the Wild took more risks, did more new, and did more for the gaming industry as a whole. I personally believe Breath of the Wild was the more important and impressive game, while also being incredibly fun and beautiful. Mario Odyssey was, in my opinion, more fun more frequently, but was more so just a brand new 3D Mario game. Nothing wrong with that, but that just means since Breath of the Wild was something completely new for the franchise while doing so much right, I have to give the edge to Zelda. And there you have it! Breath of the Wild is a better game in my opinion, but you can't go wrong with either one. And with that, that is the end of my advice columnist days, and if you excuse me, I'm gonna try and find another job.
911, what's your emergency?
Yeah, hi, I was wondering if you guys are taking applications?